Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Melton True Blue podcast. This is episode 11 and we're very excited about our guest today, Mr. Jesus Chewy Ramirez. We're going to call him Chewy for the rest of the interview, just kind of his nickname here at Melton Truck Lines. Really excited about our guest today because you work in a different spot than all of our other guests have. So we have Melton Truck Lines, the asset side of the company, and then we have Melton Logistics, the brokerage arm of the company. And so today we're going to dive into more of what Melton Logistics is. But before we do that, Chewy, it's Friday. How are we feeling today, man?
I can't complain. Friday, nothing crazy going on this weekend, but it's good weather outside and hopefully we have a good day.
Yeah,
good weekend.
No golf this weekend?
No golf this weekend.
Yeah, that's a shocker. Yeah, so Chewy, big time golfer here at Melton, and we like to get out and play quite a bit and lose some money to each other every now and then as well, but we have a good time doing it. Chewy, born and raised near Melton Truck Lines, right?
Yeah, I went to school just down the road, a couple miles. Went to Catoosa High School, went K through 12 there, and then went to college at Rogers State, which is up the road 30 miles in Claremore. Played soccer there and actually interned here at Melton Truck Lines on the asset side over road training and orientation for a year before I finished school, and then ended up starting at Melton Logistics full-time in June of 21. And I've been there ever since.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into kind of how your career path went. But going back to Catoosa High School, for those who are over the road or not familiar with the Oklahoma area, we're located kind of on the Catoosa Tulsa border, so not too far from either one. But we partner with Catoosa a lot. Catoosa schools, Catoosa fire and police, and then EMT. Did you know a little bit about Melton Truck Lines just growing up in Catoosa?
Yeah, well, just growing up in Catoosa, there's a couple of people that I was friends with at school who had parents who worked here at Melton Truck Lines. Melton is probably the biggest company that's in Catoosa, so they big seat at the chamber. And actually, I was referred to come work here by a friend in high school, Morgan, who her mom is Leslie Vincent here.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, small world. I love hearing how people got to Melton or how they heard about it. And so you heard about it through a high school friend whose mom worked here, and then you ended up here. And then, so you started interning in 2020, correct?
January of 2020.
2020. Gosh, what a year. What a time to be here, right?
Yeah, it was during COVID.
Just
during COVID,
yeah.
and we did not go home.
Yeah. And you were finishing up your senior year at RSU?
I was in my junior year.
Junior year. Okay, so you were with us your junior and senior year of
Just
RSU.
my whole junior year, pretty much.
Whole junior year.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And a little about Chewy as well. Stud soccer player, so played soccer all through high school and then in college as well. How was that internship? Was it good as far as balancing out your school, sports, and work as well?
Yeah, Melton's great for any people who are interested in maybe interning here. It was a great opportunity just to get professional, real-world experience while still being in school. I was able to kind of tailor-make my schedule as long as it worked with my superiors over there. And it was a good opportunity to just work 3 days a week, 4 days a week, however much I could fit in, work that 20 to 25 hours, and just come in, get good experience while I was still in school.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Chewy, refresh my memory here. So you said your whole junior year you were here, and then your senior year, what happened there? Why were you not working with us?
Well, senior year, the thing that had allowed me to actually work here is because I had all online classes. So
right.
I wasn't in the classroom in school. I was doing all online. Then junior year, I had capstone and some more classes that I could only take online during the day, and I always had to have practice every day, and I just couldn't fit.
So your senior year, you had actual on-site classes in soccer and just wanted to finish.
It wasn't that I didn't want to be here.
No, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't remember what it was, and then I remember us getting back in touch with you, or you calling us, or us calling you after you graduated.
Yeah.
And I said, well, hey, we don't have a ton of open positions open right now on the asset side. You coming from the road training program, I guess we should probably talk about that a little bit. Very different world than what you're doing now.
Very
completely different, honestly. So on the road training side, that is where we're pairing our newer drivers with experienced drivers to go out on a training truck for how long?
2 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks. 3 weeks if needed.
Yeah, and maybe even less if that driver's experience. Yeah. So you're pairing that trainee with a driver trainer. And so that's what you were doing during your internship here at Melton Truck Lines. And when we called you back, we said, hey, we have a sales opportunity at Melton Logistics for you. And you've never really done sales before. No. This is fairly...
Well, this is my first real job.
Yeah, well, you were at Quick Trip before though too, right?
Yeah.
So you'd never done sales before though.
No.
And Melton Logistics is a very different world, like we said, from Melton Truck Lines. And kind of just a brief description of Melton Logistics, and I'll let Chewy kind of dive into this, is Melton Logistics, we are we're a full service 3PL, right? And so we're kind of the middleman between the customer and the carrier. And so Chewy is a account manager, senior account manager actually now, congratulations.
Thanks.
What we're doing is we are finding customers to move freight for, right? And where Melton Truck Lines is just flatbed only, Melton Logistics is not tied to a trailer type, right? We can move anything essentially, right? Hot shot, dry van, flatbed, reefer, kind of whatever we need to haul it on, boat, ship, we can haul it, correct? And so Chewy is finding those customers and negotiating those freight prices and moving that for the customer and really making a smooth process for the customer all through the transaction of the freight from point A to point B. And so, kind of coming from the asset side, coming from this internship into this world, was there any, as far as coming from the internship to logistics, was there anything kind of helped you prepare for that? Anything that, did you feel a little more prepared?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So, for example, I came over there to the Melton Logistics side, and just being able to know, what is a flatbed, what is all these different modes, what are straps, what are coils, what are we hauling, what is Melton Truck Lines hauling? They're hauling building materials, wood, lumber, moldings, coils, steel pipe, PVC pipe, machinery, anything that they can get their hands on a flatbed. So knowing a little bit into securement, knowing a little bit into equipment, knowing a little bit into, what kind of trucks that we use, what kind of brands we use, everything that we do over at Melton Truck Lines helped me be able to just know more knowledge about the industry in general. I wasn't calling a potential customer, and just saying, hey, can I move your freight? It was more, hey, I know the industry, I know what we can do at Melton Truck Lines and on Melton Logistics side, and just being able to convey that to them and try to win their business. Yeah. So it was a good opportunity. It was really good to have that internship background. We do training over there for someone who doesn't have any trucking background, but they had to learn from the ground up. They had to learn, what a difference of a dry van and a reefer is, difference in a hot shot and a 53-foot step deck, and just what kind of freight goes on what, and just learning just basics. So I had a little bit of a head start there, and I had a little bit of also just connections on the asset side that I could go to if I ever need anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of Melton Truck Lines, you also run your own book of business, right? So I know we talked about the project or shared capacities, and that's kind of the tying the two companies together. But Melton Logistics is its own powerhouse of a company as well, and you run your own book of business that you built up from your 3 years of being here, right? And so as far as your book of business goes, has nothing to do with Melton. How do you find those customers, right? You kind of come in, start from kind of nothing, right, and build it up.
So
and I don't want you to give away all your secrets here on the podcast.
Well, there's a couple of different ways to look for potential customers that you
Sure.
can get. So there's a simple way of just picking something that you like. What's something that interests you? That could be golf. That could be fishing. That could be kayaking. It could be anything. Everything goes from point A to point B.
Yeah.
If it's in the store, it's been shipped a couple of times.
I love that too, because I told you on the podcast here, my first job was at Melton Logistics, and I knew nothing about trucking, right? And so the manager at the time was like, well, hey, what do you love? And I just came out of college wrestling, and wrestled all through high school, and that was my answer, was wrestling. And my first shipment was wrestling mats, moving wrestling mats from point A to point B, something you think in your head would never get moved, right? But then I was like, look around you, these chairs that we're sitting on, this table, had to get here somehow, right? And you're right, so everything gets moved on a truck.
Yeah, everything moves on a truck or rail. Everything goes on something.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Everything needs to go from point A to point B. So it's just about thinking outside the box. How do those concrete barriers get there? Who does that?
Yeah.
What company in town is maybe manufacturing those, or how are they moving that from point A to point B? So you can also just go by city. You can Google Minneapolis and Google manufacturers in Minneapolis, distribution centers in Minneapolis. Just kind of look and see, looks like they manufacture PVC pipe. I bet that goes on the flatbed.
Sure.
So just calling who am I with? I'm with Melton Logistics. We're the brokerage side of Melton Truck Lines.
Mm-hmm.
I was wanting to call and see, who can I speak to? Who is someone I can I can speak to maybe present myself and tell them who I am and what I do, and see if there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, and I think one thing that makes Melton Logistics stand out, and certainly you, and I've seen this, and I know kind of our culture at Melton Logistics is this way, is our customer service, right? There's been times we talk about golfing, and it might be 8 o'clock at night, and you're picking up the phone, answering a phone call, or you're answering an email. Saturdays, Sundays, I mean, you are available, right? And when it's your book of business, when it's your customer, you have to be, right?
Yeah, it's more personal.
Yeah, and I think there's so many carriers that they can choose from, the customer can choose from, right? And so if you're not doing all you can to service that customer, why not go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Why not give the person who's going to answer my phone call a chance? So that's one thing that you guys do over there really well, is just your availability to the customer is amazing, I think. And I think that sets you and the company apart from a lot of others.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we have to do, especially when you have your own book of business. You have to, it's a personal thing. It's kind of, we get compensated for what we do over there with our book of business. So
Mhm.
if you don't service your customer well, they can go and have anyone else do it.
Sure.
And that's, money out of Melton Logistics pocket and money out of your own pocket.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so I think, it's really neat. I think people who have, kind of that entrepreneurial mindset, this is a great opportunity for them, right? Because yes, you're working for a company, but you're running your own book of, you're running your own business,
Yeah,
right?
you're running your own show.
And you're just not taking any of the risk on, right? We have to pay to keep the lights on, pay to have the building, clean, pay for insurance. You're not having doing that, but you're owning your own business, right? And your sales are reliant on how well you do, how well your customers are doing, and it all comes back to you. So if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, I think Melton Logistics is a really great opportunity for folks like that just want to own something of their own and take charge and really make something out of nothing, essentially.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Making something out of nothing takes time, but
Sure.
you can get there.
Yeah, and I think that those first 6 to 8 months of learning is probably the hardest struggle. Feeling like I'm never going to get someone on the phone or whatever it may be. But once that turns and you start moving freight, you start really learning the business. I think that's where the fun relationships happen, right?
The ball starts rolling is what I like to say. It's all about getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, and once it's rolling, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
there's no stop. Yeah, exactly. There's no stopping it, right? And I also want to think, talking to some of our Melton Truck Lines employees, some of the funnest things they say about working here is the culture, right? Your job's not an easy job. There's stressful days, there's good days, there's bad days. But I think being surrounded by good people makes those days not so bad. It makes the good days even better. So what's the culture like at Melton Logistics? Someone kind of looking this way. Can I explain the culture over there?
The culture there, it's a pretty, I like to say, it's just, I think we're all pretty good friends over there. We all play golf after work.
Yeah.
We all hang out some of us hang out after work. It's more of a, it's not very, since we all do our work separately, we all have our own book of business. We're not relying, like if there's about 8 account managers over there, everyone has their own book of business. We're all worrying about our own thing, which means there's not a lot of there's not a lot of working together. Like me and another account manager wouldn't work together on the same thing. But that also just allows us just to be friends. We don't work together, but we work at the same place together.
Yeah.
So it's a relaxed environment over there. Everyone takes their own book of business seriously. So it's more, like I said, if you're someone who wants, like you said, if there's someone who wants to run their own show, who wants to have that responsibility of pretty much running their own business while having the safety net of working under Melton Logistics, it's a good place over there. There's a lot of young, hungry guys that want to do good, do well, and bring business into Melton and the Hawthorne Group in general. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going pretty well over there.
Yeah, I think another thing about when we talk about a sales role, I think people think cutthroat or dog eat dog world, and that's not it, right? People are there to help each other, right? You can go to some of your coworkers, especially when you were newer, and lean on some of those folks who've been here a couple of years, right? Those folks that have the tenure, and say, hey, I'm on the phone right now. I've got a load going from point A to point B. I need help quoting it, right? Well, we're not going to say, hey, I'm not going to help you because now I want this customer. No, we're going to help you get that customer, right? So there's none of that. I think there's friendly competition between the group, but there's no, hey, watch your back because I'm going to steal your customers, right?
Yeah,
there's none of that, and I think that's really important in a sales world, to not have that kind of mentality of, the used car sales.
Yeah, we're not competing for the same customers.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's millions of companies out
Sure.
there that you can ship for. We're not competing.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's super important. Like I said, the culture over there is just like you said. It's good people. It's a good environment. Certainly like to have fun, but certainly some of the hardest workers, here as well. Heads down, finding business, but also able to, enjoy those downtimes and enjoy those, stressful days of, hey man, I just got done moving this load that was a pain. Let's go do something real quick. Let's go grab a bite of lunch. Let's go, shoot some hoops outside or whatever it may be. I think it's really important to have those breaks from the hard times and work hard, play hard kind of thing, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, very cool. I think Melton Logistics is a really neat industry, a really great place to get your feet wet in logistics, and honestly can become a great career. People can make a really great career out of Melton Logistics and the account manager side. And then there's also the carrier manager side that we can kind of dip into just a little bit. And I think there's two kind of big career paths at Melton Logistics, and it's account managers and carrier managers. And the carrier managers are doing more of the finding the trucks to cover the loads, right?
Yeah.
So you find a load going from Pennsylvania to Arizona, customer, you're dealing with the customer side of things, right? And then you flip that load over to a carrier manager, and they're negotiating with the truck or the carrier to get that price to where you want it to be, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And so the carrier managers and the account managers, they work hand in hand together, right?
Mm-hmm.
One needs the other, and the other needs the other, right? So having that relationship with those carrier managers are pretty important as well, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So what they do is they maintain relationships with carriers that are in our system that we trust, that we are able to rely on whenever we need help with our customers.
Yeah, cool. Any thoughts or anything you'd like to tell the audience if they're thinking about Melton Logistics, or even customers that are watching this? Anything you'd like to tell them?
Yeah. Over at Melton Logistics, we're a tight knit group. We really care about what we're doing over there. We really just want to help serve. Like Terrence said earlier, we're there 24/7. There's never we don't have any office hours. We're always there to support you if you're looking for a place that really cares about you, really understands the problems and the struggles of having maybe other carriers who may be too big for you and not have any interest in you. Melton Logistics is a great place, and for those who maybe want to come into the brokerage industry, Melton Logistics is a great place to learn. Everyone over there is helpful. We all want to succeed. We all want to help Melton Truck Lines and Melton Logistics succeed as a team. So, I would love to have you over.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Melton True Blue podcast. Chewy, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. If anyone wants to be on the podcast or has any podcast suggestions, please reach out to me. Once again, thanks for listening.